This is the Voice of Vietnam.
This is the Voice of Vietnam, broadcasting from Hanoi, capital of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam.
Hello, welcome to the Voice of Vietnam. I'm Kim Si. On today's show, after the news, in current affairs, we'll look at the UN's new roadmap for stabilizing Gaza. Our letterbox acknowledges the letters and emails listeners sent us during the week. But first, here's the news.
In the news headlines, party leader wants Hon Khoai Island cluster to be strong in economy, defense and security. Prime Minister attends the launch of Arabic edition of the book Điện Biên Phủ by General Vong Nguyen. And 318 million people face crisis levels of hunger worldwide in 2026, according to World Food Programme. Now the news in detail. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm on Wednesday requested Cà Mau province to accelerate the project to develop Hon Khoai Island cluster to be strong in economy and firm in national defense and security, with a coordinated investment direction for energy, transportation, telecom infrastructure, military works, dual-use deep water port works and storm shelters. At a working session with military units, party organization and the administration of Cà Mau province, General Secretary Lâm said special attention should be paid to socio-economic efficiency, protection of the ecological environment of forests, seas and islands, ensuring sustainable development. He stressed the need to complete the routes connecting economic zones, industrial zones, urban areas, seaport logistic zones, and functional areas coupled with Hon Khoai Port and Cà Mau Airport. The General Secretary added, Hon Khoai is a national strategic focus, and the Hon Khoai Island project is a step forward for an aspirational and self-reliant Vietnam. Building Hon Khoai Island is not just building a seaport, but also establishing a position for the country at sea, not just opening the way to the island, but also paving the way for Vietnam's future, party leader Tô Lâm said, and urged for determination to fulfill and exceed the set plan. During his working trip to Algeria on Wednesday in the capital Algiers, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, his wife and the high-ranking Vietnamese delegation led a wreath at the Algerian Martyrs Memorial and visited the Martyrs National Museum. Laying the wreath at the memorial, Prime Minister Chính expressed his deep gratitude and appreciation to those who sacrificed their life in the Algerian People's War for national independence from 1954 to 1962. At the Martyrs National Museum, the Prime Minister attended the launch of the Arabic edition of the Điện Biên Phủ by General Vong Nguyen. This Arabic edition provides Algerian readers with a comprehensive, systematic understanding of the historical significance, skill and profound impact of the Điện Biên Phủ campaign, one of Vietnam's most remarkable military victories. A draft artificial intelligence law was submitted to the National Assembly on Wednesday during its ongoing 15th session. The aim of the legislation is to create a safe, open environment for innovation and position AI as a leading strategic technology of Vietnam. The draft law has been welcomed by the technology sector. Dr. Cao Anh Tuấn, CEO of the Genetica, said,
Vietnam's introduction of a legal corridor for AI developments creates new opportunities to develop everyday technology products and also to attract greater investments. With regulations in place, investors are more willing to invest, helping these products expand into international markets. A solid legal foundation serves as a launching pad for Vietnamese AI innovations to reach the world.
Cao Xuân Hoài Vương, chairman of the AIVA Group, said the draft AI law aligns with international standards, fosters innovation, and effectively manages potential risks. He said the legislation is designed to balance business interest with protections for the public.
Phải tạo cơ hội cho những doanh nghiệp khởi nghiệp trong lĩnh vực AI.
Regulations must be clear, transparent, and easy to implement. The law should create opportunities for AI startups and offer tax incentives and support policies that allow businesses to rapidly turn their creativity into quality products. At the same time, it must be straightforward for the public to understand and comply with.
The draft law is expected to be passed during this sitting. When it's enacted, Vietnam will become one of the first countries in the world to have a specialized law on AI. Mock trials on illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing was held on Tuesday and Wednesday in Lâm Đồng Province by the Provincial People's Court, the Provincial Border Guard Command, the Coast Guard Region 3 Command, Fisheries Surveillance, and relevant agencies. The mock trials were staged based on real-life violations to help fishermen better understand the legal consequences of IUU fishing and raise public awareness on legal compliance, marine resource protection, and national credibility. They were part of efforts to get the IUU yellow card lifted and develop sustainable fisheries. Colonel Lê Văn Tú, Political Commissar of the Coast Guard Region 3 Command, said,
These trial cases help people understand and remember the law. This communication program has profound impacts as they closely align with reality.
After the mock trials, the officers answered fishermen's questions on legal regulations, especially prohibited acts in IUU fishing. The organizers presented gifts, life jackets, essential supplies, and national flags to policy beneficiary families and local fishermen, encouraging them to safely set sail and contribute to the protection of marine sovereignty. Nguyen remains a priority destination for the Republic of Korean businesses seeking to expand investment in Vietnam, said Korean Ambassador to Vietnam, Jae Yong-sam. At a meeting with Nguyen Provincial Party Secretary Chick Sun-cheung on Wednesday, the ambassador said the successful operations of many Korean corporations, such as Samsung Electronics, Samsung Electromechanics, and hundreds of supporting businesses in Thái Nguyên, clearly demonstrate the strong and mutually beneficial cooperation between the two sides. Many other Korean enterprises also show interest in exploring new investment opportunities in Thái Nguyên. Mr. Cheung provided an overview of Thái Nguyên socio-economic situation, emphasizing high-tech industrial development, administrative reform, improved infrastructure, and a transparent and stable investment environment. The province considers Republic of Korean enterprises important partners, accompanying the province in socio-economic development. He said, adding that Thái Nguyên will continue listening and providing maximum support to businesses, confidence in long-term investment. Both sides agreed to continue strengthening cooperation in high-tech industries, supporting industries, smart urban development, renewable energy, and high-quality human resource training. The Republic of Korean Embassy committed to act as a bridge connecting Thái Nguyên with potential investors, considering this an important foundation for further deepening friendships and cooperation in the future.
And now some more news. A staggering 318 million people face crisis levels of hunger or worse next year, more than double the figure recorded in 2019, according to the United Nations World Food Programme 2026 Global Outlook. Amidst declining global humanitarian funding, lost lives and the reversal of hard-earned development gains will be the price to pay, WFP warned. WFP aims to reach 110 million of the most vulnerable people with an estimated $13 billion in aid by 2026. However, current projections suggest that WFP may receive only around half of the funding it needs. In 2026, WFP is expected to provide emergency food and nutrition assistance, support and training for communities to build resilience to food security shocks, and provide technical assistance to strengthen national response systems. Cindy McCain, Executive Director of WFP, said, ending entrenched hunger demands much more sustained support in real global commitments and collaboration. U.S. President Donald Trump said Tuesday he will designate Saudi Arabia and a major non-NATO airline, a status currently held by Israel, Japan and South Korea. The announcement came during Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's visit to Washington. During the two-day visit, Saudi Arabia revealed plans to invest $1 trillion in the U.S. Trump said making Saudi Arabia an ally would expand military cooperation between the two countries. The U.S. has just agreed to sell F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. According to the U.S. State Department, major non-NATO airline status will provide Saudi Arabia with certain advantages in trade, defense, and security cooperation, but does not oblige the U.S. to guarantee its security.
To end the news, here deadlines once again. Party leader wants Hon Hai Island cluster to be strong in economy, defense, and security. Prime Minister attends the launch of Arabic edition of the book Điện Biên Phủ by General Vong Nguyen. And 318 million people face crisis levels of hunger worldwide in 2026, according to World Food Programme. That's the news on VOV.
You're listening to the Voice of Vietnam, and here's the current affairs. The UN Security Council on Sunday adopted a resolution on the establishment of an international force in Gaza, a historic step toward restoring order, protecting civilians, and paving the way for large-scale humanitarian aid and reconstruction in Gaza after more than 2 years of armed conflict.
The UN resolution on establishing an international stabilization force in Gaza received 13 votes in favor and none against, with permanent members China and Russia abstaining. The UN Security Council resolution authorizes the establishment of an international stabilization force, or ISF, to coordinate with Egypt, Israel, and the newly trained Palestinian police to secure the border areas and demilitarized zones of the Gaza Strip. The ISF will be responsible for the permanent disarmament of non-state armed groups, protecting civilians and ensuring the security of humanitarian aid corridors. The resolution also proposes the establishment of a board of peace as a transitional administration in Gaza that will coordinate reconstruction efforts. It authorizes the BOP to establish a temporary international stabilization force in Gaza to deploy under unified commands acceptable to the BOP. U.S. President Donald Trump will serve as the head of the Board of Peace to oversee the peace plan until the end of 2027. The resolution refers to future Palestinian statehood in vague terms, saying that once the Palestinian Authority implements required reforms and Gaza's reconstruction is proceeding smoothly, final conditions may be put forward to pave the way for Palestinians to exercise their inalienable right to self-determination and statehood. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Mike Waltz said that the UNSC temporarily setting aside disagreements to adopt the resolution is a historic event that opens a new path for the Middle East and marks another important step toward a stable and prosperous Gaza, creating necessary space for a future Palestinian state and allowing Israel to live in peace and security.
Per the carefully negotiated language in the 20-point plan, this resolution charts a possible pathway for Palestinian self-determination after the Palestinian Authority has completed the necessary reforms, where rockets will give way to olive branches and there is a chance to agree on a political horizon.
The international community has responded positively to the UN resolution, which would turn the fragile Gaza ceasefire agreement into a credible political roadmap toward long-term stability. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed belief that the peace plan will promote cooperation and expand the signing of the Abraham Accords between Israel and regional countries. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority called it the first step on the path toward peace. In the meantime, The resolution is expected to positively impact humanitarian activities in Gaza, where food and medical shortages are worsening and flooding remains a threat. UNICEF spokesperson Ricardo Pierre said,
We're very optimistic that the peace plans will improve the situation, and we need to see more humanitarian corridors open. We need to see more quantity of aid getting in, more trucks, more corridors, again, more access.
The resolution faces numerous serious challenges. Palestinian Foreign Minister Wassem Agha-Bekian Shahin says the three most important issues for the Palestinian Authority are ensuring Gaza's governance in line with international law, guaranteeing that the transition in Gaza is not separated from the New York Declaration issued last September on the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, and safeguarding the Palestinian people's right to self-determination. German Foreign Minister Johann Waterford said the EU has always insisted that the Palestinian Authority should govern Gaza and a clear roadmap is needed for the establishment of a future Palestinian state. Meanwhile, some other countries are more concerned about the two major governance mechanisms for Gaza proposed in the resolution, the International Stabilization Force and the Border Peace. Russian Ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzyar said the resolution assigned the ISF peacekeeping task that could turn it into a party to the conflict and take it beyond the scope of peacekeeping. He said the Security Council members were given insufficient time to work conscientiously and seek compromises. Chinese ambassador to the UN, Fu Kong, said the resolution lacks clarity on key issues.
决议草案在许多至关重要的问题上
The resolution needs to clearly define the structure, mandate, and participation criteria for the International Stabilization Force. Such information is necessary basis for serious council discussion, but the resolution is vague on a number of crucial matters.
U.S. President Donald Trump, appointed to head the Border Peace until 2027, said Monday that the board will have many members, including leaders of major world powers. When he announced his Gaza peace plan in September, Trump nominated former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair for the chairmanship, sparking considerable controversy. Another major challenge to implementing the resolution is a reaction of Hamas. Hamas immediately rejected the resolution, saying it does not satisfy the rights and demands of the Palestinian people and is overly biased toward Israel. Hamas has shown no indication that it is willing to voluntarily disarm one of the key provisions of the resolution.
Welcome to VOV's Letterbox. We're Feng Hai and Nhật Quỳnh, and we're delighted to be with you to respond to the thoughtful feedback you've shared with us over the past week. So let's get started. Last week, VOV World received 420 letters and emails from listeners around the world. Along with their feedback on our programs, many of them also asked questions about Vietnam.
Some listeners asked about Vietnam's efforts to strengthen climate resilience and its role in international forums like COP30.
Reports on Vietnam's two-tier local government model and its initiatives to build dormitories for ethnic minority students and knowledge fortresses in border areas also drew considerable interest from our audience.
Mexico listener Armando Francisco Higuera de Real said, quote, "The unity of the Vietnamese people in overcoming natural disasters is admirable. Vietnam is one of the countries most severely affected by climate change and, like Mexico, is facing severe damage. I hope COP30 in Brazil will yield a positive outcome," unquote.
French listener Paul Jamet wrote, quote, "In recent years, super typhoons have caused major losses of life and property. Could you talk more about Vietnam's efforts to respond to climate change and its role in international forums like COP30, unquote.
Well, Vietnam's indeed heavily affected by climate change, from rising sea levels to increasingly intense super typhoons.
That's why responding to climate change is one of Vietnam's top priorities. The actions being taken include reducing plastic pollution, conserving energy, promoting a green lifestyle, developing a circular economy, and, above all, afforestation and ecosystem restoration.
Vietnam has implemented major initiatives such as the 1 billion trees program, a large-scale mangrove reforestation project to reduce storm impacts and soil water intrusion in the Mekong Delta, and the nationwide Green Living campaign that encourages people to adopt low-carbon habits. Forests play an essential role as natural lungs that absorb carbon and protect coastal regions.
Plastic waste is a major environmental concern, and many initiatives are being carried out to address it. On November 13th, Kiên Giang University in An Giang Province, in collaboration with the Germany's Ostfalia University of Applied Sciences, inaugurated a recycling facility for plastic waste from fishing gear. Graf Vong Lusberg Martin Welf Michael, a representative of the university, said,
From actual scientific reports, I would citate Le Breton and maybe also his colleague. We know around amount of 250 million tons is in the oceans, and we have to clean that. That is not really possible. So we invented the idea of REFIN to keep the Vietnamese coastal waters more clean and to remove the fishing gear, because the most plastic waste, around 50% in the oceans, is used fishing gear. So our project, REFIN, you see the fish over there, means recycling of Vietnamese fishing net.
Well, Vietnam is an active and responsible participant in global climate cooperation. At COP26 in Scotland in 2021, Vietnam committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. And at the ongoing COP30 in Belém, Brazil, Vietnam continues to promote initiatives on climate finance, just energy transition, forest protection, and South-South cooperation.
Listener Juan Diaz from Spain said he's interested in Vietnam's efforts to build dorms and knowledge fortresses for ethnic minority students in border areas.
The Vietnamese government plans to build or upgrade 248 inter-level schools in border communes. 72 schools are already under construction, and the first 100 will be open in time for the 2026-2027 academic year.
These schools will have libraries, culture halls, and sports facilities to create a holistic learning environment. By providing a safe and stable place to live, the dorms will solve the problem of long commute distances, limiting access to education while preserving ethnic cultural heritage.
Students in these boarding schools will receive financial support to enable them to focus fully on their studies. The project contributes to social cohesion, national security, and long-term human resource development in border regions, reflecting the Vietnamese government's commitment to equality, opportunity, and sustainable development for all communities.
Cỏ xòe ô che nắng dẫm mát đường em đi. Hôm qua em tới trường, mẹ dắt tay từng bước. Hôm nay mẹ lên nương, một mình em tới lớp. Chim đùa reo trong lá, cá dưới khe thì thầm. Hương rừng che nương cốm, em tới trường hương theo. Hôm qua tới trường, mẹ dắt tay từng bước. che nương khô em tới trường hướng theo trường của em bé bé nằm lặng giữa rừng cây cô giáo em trẻ trẻ dạy em hát rất hay hương rừng thơm đôi vắng nước suối trong tâm lý cỏ rẻ ô che nắng sắm mát đường em đi hôm qua em tới trường mẹ dắt tay từng bước hôm nay mẹ lên nương một mình em tới lớp chim đùa reo trong lá cá dưới khe thì thầm hương rừng che nương cốm em tới trường hướng.
Welcome back to Letterbox. I would like to acknowledge some listener reports that we received during the week. Richard Lemke of Canada said he received VOV's English program on his JRC NRD 535 HF receiver, which has been operating since 1995. Well, that's 30 years of service.
It's amazing that the old receiver is still performing well.
Yep.
VOV5's program was received on a frequency of 11,885 kHz. The reception was reported through Universal Shortwave Radio, highlighting Richard's ongoing interest and dedication to shortwave listening.
And we also received a reception report from Najimuddin of West Bengal, India. He tuned into VOV's English programs on November the 15th on the frequency of 7220 kHz using a Grandic YB80 receiver with a telescopic rod antenna. He reported the signal as moderate with simple at 44343.
It's always great to hear from our listeners in India, Nazimuddin said. He particularly enjoyed the Saturday Report and the Weekend Music program. He called the programs a reliable source of knowledge and the songs very enjoyable.
Last week, listener reports indicated that the frequency of 11,185 kHz and 9730 kHz generally provided good reception in Switzerland, Germany, and the Netherlands.
It's wonderful to have listeners around the world enjoying our programs and sharing their experiences. From Canada to Europe and India, reports show the global reach of VOV and the dedication of our listeners.
And we look forward to hearing from even more friends from around the world in the coming weeks. So this is Phương Khanh.
And I'm Nhật Quỳnh.
Saying goodbye from Hanoi.